Hello, everyone. If you've ever found yourself going out to eat or calling for pizza delivery simply because there are no groceries in the house, then this next hour will be well spent. My name is Kevin Gibbons. I'm the co-founder of The Savvy Life. For the past 10 years, my partner, Melissa Tessetti, and I have been teaching savvy living through webinars such as this one and in-person classes across the United States. When we're not teaching, we spend our days working one-on-one with individuals and families to help them plug their financial leaks, streamline their spending, create spending plans, and most importantly, teach them how to live within those plans. At this point, we've worked with over 500 clients in almost every state of the United States. Now, before we get started on today's webinar, there's a quick housekeeping matter. Your phone should have been muted as you logged on to keep the background noise to a minimum. If not, please make sure that's the case. I'm going to finish with a few minutes to spare to answer questions. If you do have questions, please type them into the questions section on your screen as I'm giving the presentation. That will allow me to get right to them in the last few minutes. As you know from signing up for this event, today's presentation is about food. In our past experience, as well as working one-on-one with so many clients, we found that food is the #1 area where we most often overspend, but often with the least amount of satisfaction. And that could be because of many reasons. You find yourself regularly eating out, not because you necessarily want to, but because there are no groceries in the house. Or if there are groceries, there's no plan on what to do with them. You don't know what to cook, and you find yourself stuck for ideas. Or you're overspending on groceries because you go in without a plan, and much of what gets purchased goes unused. But it's not just about spending too much money on food. The amount of time and energy we waste trying to figure out what's for dinner and then scrambling to execute adds up to hours in a month. Hours that could be spent doing something far more fun and productive than foraging for food. I'd like to start by giving you a brief introduction into the concept of savvy living. In a nutshell, living a savvy life is about creating a strong financial foundation while enjoying the journey, and doing that by being very purposeful with where you spend your time and where you spend your money. We teach personal finance from a lifestyle perspective. What that means is, in addition to teaching money skills, we also teach smart spending for our homes, food, what this webinar is all about, wardrobe, travel, and entertainment. The reason we choose to focus on these particular areas is because in our work with clients and our own experience, we have found that these are the areas where we most often struggle, spending more time and money than we want to with little satisfaction. Our goal is to teach systems, habits, and routines around these areas so you can begin living the savvy life. And that entails knowing where you stand financially on a daily basis so you can make smart spending decisions. Creating a wardrobe made only of clothes you love and that make you feel great. Enjoying travel and vacations so much more because you planned for them and you've paid for them. Turning your home into your own personal sanctuary. And when you go out to eat, it's because you want to go to that restaurant, not because there are no groceries in the house. So let's talk a little bit about the Savvy Life philosophy. Living the Savvy Life starts by implementing the Savvy Life philosophy, which is to save on things that are not as important to you, so you can focus your spending on the areas that are important to you. The example I always give of this philosophy in action is about my wife Lita and I and our own passion for travel. What we aren't passionate about is TV entertainment. Even before the advent of Netflix and Hulu, we had made the decision to forego cable TV. In fact, when we moved into our home 20 years ago, the first thing I did was physically cut the cable leads in every room. A portion of the money that we save by not having a several $100 a month cable bill allows us to spend on what is important to us, namely travel. This photo is from our motorcycle trip across Ireland that we took for our 20th wedding anniversary. However, there's a second area we identified many years ago that we also streamlined, and that is eating at chain restaurants. In fact, like most people, much of our early courtship centered around eating out. Now, this was somewhat ironic because Lita was a professional cook in the Coast Guard for 23 years, and I had learned quite a bit of cooking from my own father. It was just a social thing to do. Then at a party at our friend Lance's house, he said something that really struck me. He said, I never pay for a meal out that I can cook better myself. Now, Lance was a very good cook, so that set the bar pretty high. But whether you're a five-star gourmand, a meat and potatoes person, or even a sandwich and crockpot assembler, that idea makes a lot of sense. We realized that if we could get our act together and start cooking regularly at home, that we could go out to our favorite nice restaurants and really look forward to and anticipate those meals. Additionally, we could save even more money for our travel goals. Not only were we able to implement that plan, but our quality of life went up as we began cooking more at home and enjoying that time together. Today, I'm going to share with you the different tools and tips that we implemented to transition to getting to the grocery store on a regular basis and manage our kitchen so we could cook more efficiently at home. I'll also share with you some of the techniques we've learned from our friends and family, as well as tips clients have used to successfully reduce their spending of time and money on groceries so they could focus that money on their financial goals. So let's get started. First off, inventory. The first step to running a savvy kitchen is to create an inventory list because the key to running a savvy kitchen is to have the ingredients to make the meals. It's all about inventory. So I'm going to give you a homework assignment right off the bat. Your homework assignment is to create a list of staples. These are the things that you want to have on hand at all times. Now, it may take you 10 or 15 minutes to initially create that list, but it will save you hours over the year by ensuring that you have a complete grocery list as you head to the grocery store. No more getting home and realizing that you were out of something that you missed than having to find 20 to 30 minutes to go back and look for that one item. So what type of things are we looking at to put onto this list? Well, we have kitchen staples, things that you put, dry goods that you put into the pantry, food that you keep in the freezer, perishable foods that you keep in your refrigerator, pet food, and house staples, things like toiletries, light bulbs, other things. These are things that you always want to have on hand so that you can prepare your meals and run your household. Once you have that list, the next step is to review the list before each trip to the grocery store. If you have children, this is an excellent opportunity for them to learn about grocery shopping. This is a key money skill. Have them help you use the list to find out what in your kitchen needs to be replaced. So before you go shopping, you pull out this inventory list and you and your family go through the list and you check the pantry, you check the freezer. What's our stock of flour? What's our stock of pasta? How much frozen food do we have? And if you are finding that you've consumed your inventory quota, then you know that you need to replace items. You put that onto your shopping list. As you're doing this planning, you can follow the 3-meal plan. The truth is that most of us eat the same food, 2 to 4 things for breakfast and the same 2 to 4 things for lunch. The ingredients for those meals are staples to have in the kitchen at all times. It's evening meals where we crave variety. So by following a 3-meal plan, you can get away with only having to plan for 3 meals in a week. Decide on 2 weeknight meals. Decide on 1 weekend meal. At least 2 of the meals should include enough food for leftovers. If you enjoy dining out and your spending plan allows it, Pick one night during the week for takeout and one night on the weekend to dine out. Otherwise, you can pick one more meal to cook with plans for leftovers. So again, what you're doing here is you are cooking 2 to 3 nights a week. You're planning to have leftovers. And then if your spending plan accommodates it, you have the opportunity to have takeout or to go out and eat. It's likely that you have a running list of items that need to be purchased that you wrote down as you used up the last item. Where the inventory list is additionally helpful is in ensuring you review what you still have on hand and whether or not it will last you through next week or until the next time you go to the stores. One more thing that I want to make sure that I stress here is item number 2 on this list. Don't buy groceries, buy ingredients. Anything that you buy when you go to the grocery store should be incorporated into a plan for a meal that you're preparing. So you are buying ingredients for the meals that you're cooking. This will prevent you from buying groceries because you think that you should have them, and then they sit idle in your refrigerator or your pantry because you don't have a meal plan for them. So come up with a meal plan first, then buy the ingredients to satisfy that plan. Getting there is half the battle. Make going shopping for food a routine. If it's reactionary, as in, I need to cook dinner for my family of 4 in 20 minutes and I have nothing in the house, it's going to be very hard to shop wisely and efficiently. Know when to go. Pick a time that you have found that the store is not crowded. Avoid shopping on Friday afternoons. That's when a lot of people get paid and when a lot of people start planning for the weekend, or late Saturday mornings, because that's when people who were out doing things Friday try to go shopping for the week. Pick a time when the store is not crowded. Put it on your calendar. Make this non-negotiable. You're going to go grocery shopping at this time every week so that it is a routine. And that way, you're never going to be scrambling. Set it up as a routine. If you're going to multiple stores in the same trip, set up your routine so you know where and when you're going. Be comfortable. I can't stress this one enough. If you go shopping right after work, if you can't change out of your work clothes, at least bring a comfortable pair of shoes. No one wants to go up and down grocery store aisles in dress shoes or heels. It's incredibly important that you're comfortable when you go shopping because if you're under stress, you're not going to make good decisions. You're going to be rushed. You're going to be scattered. You need to be focused on this and you need to be comfortable and enjoy the process. What that means is that consider that if the store has a coffee shop inside, treat yourself to a coffee so that again, you're enjoying the process, you are relaxed and you're making thoughtful decisions. Finally, if you just can't or really hate going into a grocery store, consider shopping online or using a delivery service. Most stores have them now. We have a client who does that. And the small service charge is well worth her time and peace of mind of not having to make the trip and deal with the crowds. Do you know about the 6-week sales cycle? Most grocery stores run sales in 6-week cycles. Melissa's husband and my friend, Paul, pretty much single-handedly keeps the Coca-Cola company in business. So she stocks up on cases of Coke when they go on sale, making sure to have enough to last until the next cycle. By doing this, they can cut the cost of that item alone just about in half. So pay attention to the sales cycles. It takes a little while to get used to them, but once you understand them and you buy on those sales cycles, always buying enough to last until the next cycle, you can save huge amounts of money. Secondly, buy in season. More importantly, buy in local season. You can always get grapes in the middle of winter. They fly them in from Chile. But if you choose your produce in sync with your local seasons, you'll get better quality food at cheaper prices. This can also help to expand your food experience by trying new fruits and vegetables as the growing and harvest seasons change. A lot of websites and newspaper uh, sites will run seasonal food recipes to take advantage of the change in the local produce and the change in the seasonal produce. So by buying in season, it encourages you even more to pursue those recipes and expand your repertoire. Stick to the perimeter of the stores. Most grocery stores are set up with the staples and the fresher food around the perimeter. The prepackaged chips, cookies, and canned goods tend to be more in the center. So go there if you actually need some of those items, but really stick to the perimeter. That's where you'll get the fresher, better quality food. Buying snacks and drinks. A general rule of thumb is the more packaging, the less value to you. Buy in bulk where appropriate and avoid individual packaging for drink containers. Not only is it more cost effective for you, it's better for the environment. So really think, if you have to buy bottled water, really think about buying a 2.5 gallon container or at least a 1 liter container as opposed to a case of the individual bottles. They take up a lot of space in your house. They take up a lot of space in landfills. Even if you're recycling them, that's good, but that's still a lot of processing that is being done. Buy snacks and drinks in as large of a container as is practical. Next, don't let sales tags fool you. Not everything that is on sale is a good deal. Some things are on sale because the store wants to move them. Bring a calculator so you can compare unit prices. This is incredibly important. Stores have gotten really clever about this. In some states like California, stores have to put a per unit price for every item on the shelf. But no one tells a store what a unit is. So they can price things in cents per ounce, dollars per can, or even dollars per serving. You need a calculator or be really, really quick at math to compare apples to apples. So don't let the sales tags fool you. Another thing to do, we'll talk about this a little bit later, is keep track of the prices for your staples and the items that you buy on a regular basis. Because stores have been known to increase or even leave the price the same and advertise it as a sale. And just because people think that it's a sale, they think that it's a good deal. And you can look at your price book and say, wait a minute, this is actually the same thing as it was 3 weeks ago. It really is not a sale. So don't let the sales tags fool you. Lastly, buy food at the grocery store. This sounds like an obvious thing, but what we're really saying here is grocery stores are geared to sell groceries and food. And that is where they have the most economical pricing. They make their money on people who go to the grocery store and buy paper products, buy cleaning products, or buy hardware, or God help you, oil for your car. Those are huge. They put huge markups on those items. So buy food at the grocery store, buy cleaning and paper products at your favorite big box store, buy hardware at the hardware store, and buy motor oil at the auto parts store. If you start buying more things at the grocery store, it may be convenient, but again, the non-food items is where they make their money. That's where their markup is. Shop seasonal and holiday sales for the rest of the year. Buy an extra turkey or ham at Easter or Christmas and put it in the freezer. Stock up on picnic and barbecue items at Memorial and 4th of July on the holiday for those holidays. Again, buy that ham at Easter, put it in the freezer, buy an extra turkey at Thanksgiving, and put it in the freezer, and you can have it in the middle of the year. They will be pushing those products at very, very reasonable prices, excuse me, during the holiday season. And you can take advantage of that if you have the storage space for the rest of the year. I talked about the price book a few minutes ago. Remember how I said that sales run in 6-week cycles? How can you take advantage of it? You do that by starting a price book where you track the prices of your staple items at different stores and at different times. Make a note of what you buy on a regular basis and then track how much you're paying for it. Within 3 months, you'll have those sales cycles figured out and you'll know which stores to go for which items. This is a really easy thing to do, and the price book doesn't need to be anything complicated, just like I'm showing in the picture here. A small spiral notebook. You can do it on your smartphone, either using the notebook function, or there are apps that do this as well. Whatever is convenient and easy for you to use, just start tracking the prices on things you buy on a regular basis and figure out when they go on sale and where the best prices are for what you need. Bulk buying. Bulk buying used to be really popular, and Costco and Price Club and Sam's Club and a bunch of other places are still doing uh, great businesses. Bulk buying is only smart if you use it right. Most importantly, it's only savvy if you use the bulk material that you're using and that you're purchasing and you don't end up throwing it away. If you buy 5 gallons of mayonnaise and you still have 4 gallons left after 6 months, that was not a savvy purchase. Make a list, buy with purpose. Put blinders on. You don't want to go wandering the aisles looking for good deals at a bulk buy store. You'll walk out of there having spent several $100s and enough food to feed an army, which may not be the best thing if you only have a household of 2 or 4 people. So make a list, buy with a purpose. Put blinders on and say, I'm going to this store for these items. Find a buddy to save with membership costs and to keep you on track. This is really a common one. If you have a small household, it may not be worth it for you to pay the membership fee to go to one of these bulk buying stores. So split that cost with a friend. You can share the purchasing obligations and say, hey, I'm going to the store. What do you need? And you can buy for that person and trade that off. Or the two of you can go together and help keep yourself honest. So go more often and buy in smaller quantities if that makes sense. So again, bulk buying can be an incredible cost savings if you do it right. Food storage. You can store most items in a freezer for up to a year. This includes a lot of things that people may not really think about. Most people store meat in their freezer. Some people store bread in their freezer. But do you know that you can store milk and butter and fresh vegetables in your freezer as well? Before you put the food in your freezer, consider breaking them down into useful portions. I routinely buy a dozen chicken breasts or thighs at a time because they're cheaper that way in the large packages. And then I pack them into individual zippered plastic bags, putting 1 or 2 in a bag. That way, when I need to cook dinner for myself and my wife, I just pull out one bag and I have the food that I need, and the rest of the food stays frozen until I need it. So again, you can put just about anything in your freezer, keep it for up to a year. Look at bagging it in usable 1 meal quantities. The other thing that a lot of people don't think about is you can also freeze cooked foods. You can prepare meals and then do the same thing, package them up into individual servings and freeze them. My father and stepmother used to do this for my elderly aunt. They would spend Sunday cooking 5 meals, pack them up into individual containers and freeze them. And then my aunt just had to take one pack out a day, put it in the microwave, and she had essentially fresh meals that were home cooked at a fraction of what you would pay for uh, purchased frozen dinners. So this is a really good way if you have elderly or if you have children that need to eat and you may not be able to be there to cook the meals for them. You can prepare these meals individually and then they can just pull them out of the freezer as they need them. Kitchen management. The most expensive food is not the exotic sea salt from Hungary. It is not caviar from the Caspian Sea. It is not designer heirloom mushrooms. The most expensive food is the food that you throw away. So manage your kitchen so that you use the food that you buy. Rotate through your inventory every 3 months. Use your fresh food first, then go on to your frozen and canned food. Why do you want to rotate through your inventory? One is because you want to see what you have. You want to clean your pantry out. You want to clean your refrigerator and your freezer, and you want to stay organized. It is really easy to buy something, put it on your pantry shelf, and then 6 months or a year later, you don't even remember it's there because it got pushed to the back and it got covered by other purchases. So rotate through your inventory. Make sure that you use the food that you buy. You have paid money for that food. It is sitting on your shelf. That is money that is sitting there. If you don't rotate through that inventory, that's money that is not being used. So take the time to go through. Meal management. This is really an important idea also. You need to plan ahead. We talked earlier about making meals for multiple days. Make a main course, make leftovers for lunch tomorrow, tomorrow's dinner, and again, like I talked about with that frozen meals. When you're talking about meal management and planning ahead, think about what is involved in creating the meal that you want to create in the next day or two. Do you have to defrost food? Does the food need to be at room temperature? Do you need to marinate and where the food has to sit for maybe 4 hours or even overnight before you cook it? Are you baking something and the yeast has to be put into the bread mix and it has to rise, or other things need to sit and age for a while before you can cook it? It's really important that you plan ahead so you don't get caught short when you have an idea for making a great meal. I talked about frozen meals. Keep frozen dinners on hand for those times when you really are just too tired or too busy to cook. It's better to heat up one of the healthy frozen meals or one of the meals that you have prepared and frozen than to rush out for emergency burgers and fries at a local fast food place. Finally, if you're one of those people who like to curl up with a bowl of chicken soup when you're sick, make sure that you keep several cans in your pantry. The last thing you want to do when you're not feeling well is have to go shopping for comfort food. Make new meals out of the previous meal. Have chicken one night and then cut up a chicken and make chicken salad sandwiches. Same thing, if you cook a ham, you can make ham and cheese sandwiches the next day. Pot roast, easy to make pot roast sandwiches. Think beyond bread. Any of the proteins, the main courses that you had for dinner, you can cut those up and put them into fried rice or breakfast omelets or burritos for either breakfast or the middle of the day. So you can always repurpose the ingredients. The key is to make sure while you're cooking your main meal, make it large enough so that you have the leftovers, and then put those leftovers to new, interesting tastes. Some people really like cooking. I happen to be one of them. Melissa also enjoys cooking. If you don't particularly like cooking or you don't know how to cook, then don't cook. Assemble your meals. You can do things like cook, take ingredients, put them in a slow cooker or crock pot. You don't have to actually do any cooking. All you do is take the ingredients, put them in a pot, and let the pot do the rest. Make sandwiches. Again, make things like burritos. You can assemble the food where you're actually not cooking anything, you're just gathering the ingredients together. You can even make it more of a family-oriented thing where you can take the ingredients, put them together, and have the family assemble their own meals. If you're not sure how to cook, ask a family member. You can always find somebody who knows how to cook. Don't be afraid to ask. Another great resource is Good Eats, the TV show with Alton Brown. Even though Alton Brown is not a credentialed chef or a restaurant owner, his love of cooking and his easy delivery makes this show a great resource as he explains the science behind cooking in easy to understand languages. And he is just a great one to get a lot of good ideas. Another idea, master one recipe. Pick a recipe that interests you, take the time to learn how to do it, and that becomes your signature recipe. Use recipe sites like epicurious.com, allrecipes.com. There are a bunch of them. These sites have recipes that are searchable by ingredients, and they include not only recipes from private cooks, but also from many restaurants and magazines such as Bon Appetit. So you can see how the pros do it. And you can go ahead, pick the one recipe that interests you, step-by-step instructions. A lot of them have videos. They show through how to do it. They have comments from people who've tried it that will say, yes, this was a good recipe, or this was a good recipe, but be careful about this step. Finally, build on your success. After you learn one recipe, do a riff on it, change a little bit. And then now you have the confidence, you can go ahead and make a little bit of a change. You can start looking for other things that are similar. And then slowly you will learn the recipes and you will expand your cooking repertoire so that you can cook more food. I talked about the slow cooker. One of the beauties of the slow cooker is that you assemble the ingredients, you put them in the door in the morning. You put them in the cooker in the morning. You go to work. You come home. Dinner is ready. It smells absolutely fantastic. You do the same thing in the evening. You put all the ingredients into a slow cooker. You wake up in the morning and breakfast is ready and it smells fantastic. The nice thing about the slow cooker is you can take inexpensive cuts of meat, and because they're cooking for so long, they become incredibly tender and very flavorful. Really a good option for the slow cooker. Family cookbooks. I said earlier about going to family members to get recipes. My cookbook is full of my sister's recipes. Even though she now lives across the country, whenever I make her apricot chicken or plum pork chops, I feel connected with her. It's a really treasure. Melissa has gathered up all the family recipes from both sides of her and Paul's families. She's collected them into a book and made copies for all the family members. Now, not only will she be able to cherish those family recipes, everyone gets to share in that closeness. Be on the lookout for good recipes that you see your family members making. If you're at a family dinner and one of the one of your family members is making a recipe that you really like, hit them up. Give me a copy of that recipe. Always be on the lookout to get these things, preserve these great traditions. I gave you a homework assignment a bit earlier to make the inventory list. Now I'm going to give you a challenge. We run this this challenge every 3 months on our website and newsletter, the quarterly pantry challenge. What this is every 3 months, stop buying groceries. See how long you can live off of what you have in your house. Go through your pantries, create meals based upon what you have in your freezer, your refrigerator, your pantry shelf. You can keep buying those perishable items like milk and other other fresh things that you need for that. But the idea is to go through your pantry, use up every ingredient that you have. If you get to the point where you're looking at your pantry and you're seeing something there and you have no idea how to use it, what the heck do I do with quinoa? Well, you have two choices. Go to one of those online recipe sites, look for a recipe for quinoa, and if you like it, great, you just expanded your horizon. If you haven't, all right, figure out what you can do with that one ingredient, or if worse comes to worse, donate it or get rid of it. But now you know, don't buy that again. So you can clean your pantry out, you identify what's usable, and you challenge yourself to expand your cooking experience to get creative and use everything that you have in there. So I do challenge you to do that. How long can you go living in your pantry without having to buy food for yourself? Streamline your kitchen. If your kitchen is disorganized, it is incredibly hard to put together easy meals efficiently and to enjoy the cooking experience. So streamline your kitchen. Get rid of whipped topping containers. When I was growing up, our cupboards were full of these, and to be honest, most of them didn't have matching lids. They leaked and they weren't effective. Buy yourself a good matching set of high quality storage containers. Keep track of the lids and the bottoms. Use those for storing your food. Get rid of stray plates and silverware. If you have matching silverware, and the same thing with the glasses and drinking glasses, you feel better about having the meals. It becomes more special. You're not, and it just makes the dining experience for the family, even if the food is simple, it makes it an enjoyable experience. And so when people sit down, when the families sit down to eat, it is a shared experience. And I think that's really what we're going for here. Streamline the kitchen. It's easier to store the items, and it just feels better to have unified place settings. Think of your kitchen as a professional kitchen. Only keep items that pull their weight. I have a favorite expression that I use in talking with savvy clients and talking with my friends, and that expression is, "There's a tool for that." I'm very much enamored with the idea of having the right tool for the right job. But the flip side to that is only keep tools that pull their weight. If you like baking and you have a good mixer, then by all means, keep it, use it, enjoy it. If you bought a mixer or if you were given a mixer and it's sitting on a shelf or on top of the refrigerator and you haven't pulled it down in 8 months, sell it at a garage sale, donate it to a Goodwill, give it to a friend or family member. Get the items out of your kitchen that you're not using. You want to have all the tools and accessories that are pulling their weight in your kitchen so that you don't have to shift around and look through a bunch of things that you're not using to find the tool that you need. What to invest in? I said, I really like having tools. Invest in quality knives, pots, pans, bakeware, food storage items. As I said earlier, get rid of those uh, packaged whip container dish plastic containers. Get good storage containers that will preserve the food, that stack nicely, that fit properly in your refrigerator. In addition to investing in these quality items, take care of them. Get a steel for your knives and learn how to use it. Get your knives professionally sharpened once a year. Use proper cleaning methods for your knives and your cookware. A lot of people say don't put knives in the dishwasher. It depends upon the type of knife you have and how you put it in the dishwasher. The two main concerns about putting knives in the dishwasher, well, I take that back, there are three concerns. One, the hot temperature can damage the handles depending on what the handles are made of. Two, the knives bounce around in the dishwasher because of the high pressure, and that makes them bang against each other. So if you can put them in the dishwasher in such a way they don't bang against anything, then that helps protect the edge. Finally, if you have high carbon steel or other steel knives that are not stainless steel, you really don't want to put them in the dishwasher. The high pressure water, the detergent is really too aggressive and it will damage the blades. Those items you want to wash carefully by hand, dry and oil them. If you have stainless steel knives and the handles can take the high temperature, then for the most part, they're safe to go in the dishwasher. But look and see what the recommendations are when you buy the items. Finally, store your storage containers in a way that you keep the containers and the lids associated. A storage container that doesn't have a lid really is just a useless open box. So find a place to store them in such a way that you keep them matched up. And then they'll always be there for you and you'll get your use out of them. I had the privilege of knowing Melissa's grandmother for quite a few years. That's a picture of her at the bottom of the screen there. She was an old school, charming lady who always had a pot of Portuguese beans cooking, and from whom you could never escape without eating a three-course meal, even if you were just passing by. She was a dear lady who lived for hospitality and providing food to the people that she cared about, and that included any friends of people she cared about. These things that she taught Melissa are core principles for the kitchen. Grab your ingredients and put away as you go. So don't make a mess. As you need something, take it, use it, put it back where it belongs so you always know where it is. Clean as you cook. This is huge. You want to have clean surface counters so that you can do the preparation that you need to do, and so that at the end of the cooking process, you don't have 20 pots and pans to cook. So clean as you cook. This is also something that my wife, who cooked in the Coast Guard and taught cooking in the Coast Guard for 23 years, was adamant about. Clean as you go. Always do that. Melissa's grandmother said, wash tools by hand and put dinnerware in the dishwasher. This has two benefits. One, you don't have to worry about damaging tools. You take better care of them by washing them by hand. Two, you can reuse the tools. You don't have to worry that, oh, I used this ladle for preparing my pasta sauce, and now I need a ladle to uh, serve the Portuguese beans that I prepared, and the ladle's in the dishwasher. No, if you wash the tools by hand as you go, then the tools are always available to use for the next thing that you're going to use. Run the dishwasher at night and empty in the morning. It saves energy. It saves energy on cooling the house. It's better on the noise. And most importantly, you have Use your dishes, you're finished. You wash them at night, you empty in the morning, and they're ready for the next day. Finally, don't let last night's dishes keep you from cooking today's meal. This goes back to the idea of don't leave dirty dishes in the sink and on the counter. Don't leave cooking utensils dirty because then you have to clean those before you can start the next meal. So really make sure that you clean up at the end of the meal so you're ready to go for the next meal. These are lessons that Melissa's grandmother lived by and that she conveyed on to her daughter and her grandchildren. And they are really good rules for running the kitchen. Now, I learned my way around the kitchen from my father. He had no formal training, but he ran kitchen for the Elks Club, the Rancheros Visitadores, which involved cooking on field kitchens for cowboys out in the middle of the desert. And he would put on amazing parties for his friends at the drop of a hat. I learned a lot working for and with him and just being around him. I remember being 8 years old and slinging fried fish baskets out of one of those field ranges that was taller than me, learning how to prepare meatloaf for 60 people, and slicing, toasting, and dipping French bread over 55-gallon drum barbecue pits. He would show me something once and then turn me loose. The most important thing that I learned from him was to have no fear. Cook, try something. If it didn't work, figure out why and try again. The goal of today's presentation has been to help you to save time, money, and mental energy when it comes to food. And that money that you save, you can focus it on something far more fun and rewarding than takeout. Thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer any of the questions that you've posted. If you'd like to, you can also send me questions at kevin@thesavvylife.com, and I'll answer those directly. So now let's take a look and see what questions we have. Are farmers markets worth it? That's a good question. Um, like most things, it depends. A lot of farmers markets actually are pretty good deals. You can get very fresh food. It's nice to support the local farmers. And because the farmers have a low overhead in general, the food is cheaper than what you would find in a grocery store because a grocery store has to pay for the rent and the electricity and the refrigeration and the staff to run their restaurant or their store. While farmers market, the farmer usually pays a pretty small fee to rent the space and they have a table there. The other thing is the food is usually a lot fresher. So in general, it can be, but I'll refer you back to that price book. If you have your price book and you know how much the food costs in the grocery store, you can do a direct comparison and you can see if it's effective. I like them because you really get to see what's in season. I enjoy supporting the local farmers, and a lot of the food, because it's coming directly off of the farm and picked much closer to B2 freshness, has more flavorful. Here's some other questions. How do I convince myself to cook when I'm tired? The key to this problem is to make it easy for you. And that's where planning and habits come in. If you keep your kitchen clean, your pantry well stocked, you have a plan for the meal, then you can save yourself the mental energy, which is usually the most fatiguing part. So this is where I think it's really key to master 2 or 3 simple go-to meals, like pasta with olive oil and Parmesan, or stir-fried vegetables and rice. You know, there are a number of books out there like 5-minute meals or 5-ingredient meals that can give you great ideas for quick and easy dinners to prepare. Look at some of those sites pick some meals that are easy, that you enjoy. And if you have a plan and the ingredients are on hand, then you can just execute it, and it doesn't take the thought and energy of trying to figure out what to cook. And that will really help you with your meals that need to be cooked when you're tired. Oh, I just had a tough one. Do you have a favorite chef that you follow? You know, oddly enough, because I don't have a TV, I don't watch that many cooking shows. So I'm really not too in tune with the food channel chefs. I do have some chefs and cooks at some of the local restaurants that I enjoy, and I will frequently talk to them, especially if it gets towards the end of the night and they have some free time, and exchange recipes with them. There's one chef at a restaurant that I go to where it is considered quite appropriate to buy them drinks, and so my wife and I will do that. We'll buy the chef a drink, and pull him out of the kitchen towards the end of the night when he's not so busy, and sit down and talk about different cooking techniques and recipes, and that is really really fun. So yeah, again, I don't really have a professional chef that I really pay much that I follow regularly, um, but if you can talk to some of the chefs at your local restaurants, a lot of them really enjoy that. You compliment them on their food, and you can speak a little bit intelligently, knowledgeably about what they're doing. They love talking about it. So that's really a great thing. Okay, one more question. How can I get my family to share in the cooking and cleaning? This is a really popular question. Nobody wants to feel taken advantage of to be the one who does all the cooking and cleaning for all the meals. My wife and I have a rule that I think is pretty common in a lot of households. One person cooks and the other person cleans up. If you have a family with children, get them involved early on in age appropriate activities. You may not want your 8-year-old chopping onions, but she can pull ingredients out of the refrigerator and pantry and clean and help prepare for you. Teach them how to cook their favorite meal for the entire family. One important aspect for getting the family involved is to make it clear that preparing a meal and cleaning up afterwards is not a chore. Providing nourishment for your family is an act of love and bonding. And if you really emphasize that, I think that people are much more willing to partake in the preparation and the cleanup afterwards. This is a family event that shows how you have love for each other. And this is an important time to be together. I think that that is missing in a lot of today's rush world. And we do need to take the time to prepare these meals, sit down and eat them together, and make it a real family experience. Doing that, I think, will then really encourage the whole cooperation of the entire family in the cooking and cleaning process. Okay, that looks like all the questions that we have. Again, thank you for participating, and wanted to we hope that you found this information helpful. Our next webinar will be on Tuesday, December 4th on Savvy Shopping, and I hope that you will join us then for tips on how to get the most out of your shopping experience. Thank you again.